Here is a video about how you can be an amazing leader when it comes to managing subcontractors. The goal is not to micromanage them, but you already know that subcontractor management is the backbone of a lot of successful construction businesses. You as the general contractor, you are the one shouldering all the responsibilities of managing the subcontractors. Yeah, you might have some in-house workers, but a lot of times, like mechanical, electrical, plumbing, roofing, maybe even a drywall crew, a framing crew, you might have those parts in-house, but a lot of the stuff that you do probably is subcontracted, and it can get overwhelming pretty quickly. And we know that we need to align all these people towards one goal, right? Getting the project done. So what do? We try to maximize control by micromanaging everything. We think that maybe if we can manage everyone effectively, then we can force the project towards success, right? But micromanaging everything is not the way to go. So in this video, I'm going to show you why. In fact, I'm going to show you how to effectively manage subcontractors without micromanaging so you can ensure the job is done right while preserving your sanity. So let's get right to it. Let's get started. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Jesse Lane and I help contractors all across the world scale and automate their construction businesses. So if you want to learn more about that, just check out jesselane.com and we would be very happy to help you put systems in place in your construction business so you can scale to the moon and be a lot less hands-on. So here is the problem with hands-on management. This is why micromanaging doesn't work, because it doesn't scale. There's an old saying, if you want something done right, you just got to do it yourself. That's a recipe for burnout, high turnover, and in some cases, a complete mental breakdown. The more projects you take on, the harder it becomes to oversee every detail. Micromanaging limits your growth because it ties everything to your direct input. So no matter how organized you are, you're going to create bottlenecks, right? And most importantly, it's going to negatively affect your subs, and this applies to your employees as well, and yourself. You're going to make people upset. They're going to be like feeling you on their back, be like, get off my back, right? Let me handle this. So overmanaging sends a message that you don't really trust your team. A lack of trust leads to disengagement, higher turnover, and reduced productivity on the job site. Subcontractors and even their employees don't like to wait for approvals and feedback on minor tasks. Obviously, the bigger stuff, that makes sense. But if you're trying to build long-term relationships, you might send the impression that you're just too difficult to work for, and we don't want that for you, right? We want people to enjoy working for you and with you on your projects. And you don't need the added stress because you are going to burn out faster, right? Because having to maintain constant oversight mentally and physically is going to drain you, right? And this leaves a lot less energy for strategic decisions and higher level thinking. The truth is that your time is much better spent on building the business versus overseeing every little small task. Your goal in scaling is to be more efficient and hands-off, not less efficient and more hands-on. So how do we do this? And by the way, if you're already starting to think about managing differently, hit that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Your support really helps as we grow this together. So thanks so much. So how do we do this? We want to assemble a strong team of subcontractors. You as a GC, you're only as good as the people working for you. Your goal should be to assemble your own personal little Avengers team, right? Each one of them, they do what they do with minimal oversight. So the next step to this is you as the GC need to develop your management skills. First, you have to communicate like a pro. Effective subcontractor and employee management starts with clear communication. You need to be willing and able to set it and forget it, right? Provide instruction and move on and check on the results, hold them accountable to the results. This type of collaboration really helps build trust and improve performance and reduces the need for micromanagement. And this is super important because empowering your team really pays off in the long run for you as a business owner. And we have to make sure that they remain accountable, but try to offer them a degree of freedom and autonomy. Because remember, subcontractors are business owners too. This is a huge point. They will appreciate you showing them trust and respect, encouraging collaboration and accountability. It all creates this team that stays loyal and grows with you, right? And they grow with your business. You can also leverage technology to streamline your collaboration and your communication, right? We use Structure at J-Lane Construction to centralize communication, our workflows, our accountability. Pretty much everything is built inside of Structure at this point. Essentially, Structure makes it so easy to monitor the progress of everything without actually physically being there, because we can build accountability and log meetings and have checklists and all kinds of other features that help us track actually what's going on. Of course, daily logs help with that and stuff like that too. So if the thought of relinquishing control is giving you indigestion, then consider this. You have to learn to delegate and like it. It's a cold, hard fact. You simply cannot scale without delegating. You have to learn how to delegate as a business owner. There has been no successful business owner that operates alone. You need a team of subcontractors and employees, especially as a general contractor, that you can trust to take ownership of their responsibilities. That is the key to success in business. Delegation doesn't mean losing control. It's actually about distributing responsibility to very capable hands after you onboard and train them, of course, right, on your processes. And this is what allows you to focus on high-level strategy and marketing and sales and all that stuff I always talk about. Once you build out a system for how a task needs to be completed, you want to shift your focus to just ensuring and making sure that the actual end goal is met. Because your job as a construction business owner is to just make sure that the end goal is met. Scaling your business takes this type of mindset to trust your employees and your subs, etc., to handle their roles so the entire project can run smoothly. So I want to encourage you to think about training people as an investment, right? Even if they leave, don't be afraid of that. Teach your team how to solve problems independently. For example, a superintendent that can solve on-site issues without your input becomes an extremely invaluable asset to you. This empowers them to work independently while staying in line with your vision. It might be really hard at first to create your processes and trust that your team is handling the process, of course, holding them accountable to the results, but there are clear benefits to letting go. Delegation reduces stress and frees up your time for so many high-value tasks like acquiring clients and business development and networking and doing better marketing and just thinking about your business at a macro level. Going through your core values, your mission, your vision, making sure everything's all aligned. By delegating the right way, you really free yourself up to really do these things each and every day, each and every week, each and every month. It really starts compounding. And believe it or not, delegation actually builds a stronger company culture. Employees and subs who are trusted with real responsibilities, they feel more engaged. They have an ownership mentality. They're invested into the company's success. Now let's talk about how you can function as a macro manager. And by the way, if you're not ready for our coaching program on jesselane.com, you could also go to jesselane.com and click on masterclasses. We have tons of masterclasses on there that can help get you started. So the key here is to set clear expectations, because ambiguity leads to tons of errors and mess ups, and it's going to be super frustrating for you. So you want to be very clear about what you need and when you need it and how success for that specific outcome will be measured. Construction is a very detail-oriented industry, just like every other business really, but unclear instructions can result in a lot of missed deadlines, rework, budget overruns, and everything like that. For example, if you need a specific project framed by Monday at 11 a.m., right? Or the end of day Monday, whatever. We want to specify that deadline instead of saying Monday. For example, if you need, your framing to be done by Monday at 12 p.m. Instead of just saying Monday, say Monday at 12 p.m. And then the week before, we want to do a midweek check-in, right? To prevent any last minute surprises, right? Instead of just waiting until the deadline to find out if there's any delays, because that could be, harmful. We're going to put as a part of a process that we're going to follow up midweek and make sure we're still on track, right? We want to be proactive and not reactive. But what happens if someone isn't fulfilling their end of the deal, right? What if they're not doing a good job? Well, if progress stalls, we want to escalate the issue. For example, if the framing isn't anywhere near completion, by Thursday, you want to loop in the subcontractor's manager or the owner of that business to restate your expectations, right? We want to clearly communicate the consequences of missing the timeline and document the interaction to maintain a clear record. This is going to help you a lot when it comes to accountability, because we really want to make sure that there are consequences for not meeting the deadline, right? A lot of times in construction, you'll hear liquidated damages. For example, your client might have liquidated damages on you, say every day you go over, it's $100 or $200. I've seen $500, I've seen $1,000 a day liquidated damages, depending on how important the timeline is and how big the project is. I mean, if it's like a $10 or $20 million job, the LDs could be super expensive, but you want to hold your subcontractors to the same level of accountability. I mean, you don't want to get too rigid here, but there needs to be some level of consequences that you guys both agree on ahead of time. But it's important to stay solution focused, right? So instead of placing blame, we want to focus on resolving the actual issue. Like, What do you need to get this done by Monday? How can we avoid this situation in the future? What held us back? How can we fix this, right? The best way to avoid falling back into micromanagement is to set very clear standards. You want to define your means, your methods, and you want to have open discussions about these methods and timelines and make sure everyone's on the same page. We want this to be a collaborative conversation. We want to outline how the work should be performed, the tools and the materials to use, and the expected completion timeline, because that's what we're agreeing on, right? So I think like these types of open discussions really help everyone align on the standards and what we're actually agreeing to. And encourage your subs to voice concerns early to avoid last minute complications, right? We want to get everyone on the same playing field, at the same table as early as possible. And most importantly of all, don't be afraid of technology. I know as a contractor, maybe you didn't grow up using technology, but you can drastically streamline operations with the use of technology. There's lots of construction management platforms out there, not a lot like Structure that does it all in one place. It centralizes updates, all your documentation, communication. Digital tools like this really ensure that everyone is working off the same information. And it builds that bond across teams. Instead of juggling all these endless emails, texts, and spreadsheets and paper trails, everything is consolidated in one place. Think of how beautiful of a life you can have if everything is just in one place, right? Because the beauty about Structure is it's cloud-based. So when your superintendent uploads a file or finishes a checklist on the job site, boom, someone in the office can access it right away, right? And it's all synced and everyone that you want can get a notification. So this really helps everyone be aligned and make sure everyone's looking at the same information versus just something on your desk or in your pocket. Let alone the use of templates, right? Like estimating templates, checklist templates, proposal templates, daily log templates. There's so much that you can do with templates to completely streamline the way you run your construction business. And even just sharing the project schedule with your subcontractors, right? Helps everyone feel like they're included in the project's larger objectives, like where we're going, which increases collaboration with the whole team. It builds a stronger team, builds reliable partnerships. So managing subcontractors is about working smarter, not harder. That's the name of the game. By building trust, delegating responsibilities, and using technology to streamline all your workflows, you can maintain high quality standards without micromanaging. So if you want to learn some more strategies about how to grow and scale your construction business, there's going to be a video popping up. I'm sure you're going to love it. Also click like before you leave, and we'll see you in the next one.